After the Jets officially part ways with Aaron Rodgers, NFL insider Rich Cimini says the chances of Garrett Wilson sticking around with the Jets long term have significantly increased. A lot to get into today, and we will cover that and much more, all coming up here on a Monday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Cimini, Jets reporter for The Athletic, Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer and Jets legend Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Long.
Boom. There we are. Hello, everyone. Welcome back into another edition of NY Flight Jet Stuff. You hear the music. We're here on this Monday, President's Day weekend, 4-day weekend for me, off today, off tomorrow from school, Monday, February 17th, 2025. Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like button and make sure you are subscribed to the channel on your way into the building. It's completely free and it helps our channel grow significantly. Here on YouTube, we're trying to hit 2,000 subscribers. Start of the NFL draft. That's the free way to help support each other. Paid way, on the other hand, we'll throw the ticker on down below, is gifting memberships. Only 11 days left in this month because it's a short month here in February. So your time to get in on the membership raffle or increase your amount of tickets is running out. The ticker, the leaderboard is on down below for the prizes, but this is what the prize we're giving away this month. Joe Klecko signed jersey, Mark Gastineau signed jersey, Bill Parcells signed photo, free item from our merch store, and a channel emoji. Appreciate all your support. You can get in on that by gifting a membership, or every $2.99 super chat will give you a ticket as well. I explored with the new guys. I don't know if you see the top of the chat, the super chat goal. I said I put the thing. Great way to get your question answered right away, and a great way to support the show. Also get you a raffle ticket. So let's try to get 10 super chats. Today's show. I appreciate all your support here on the program. As always, any questions, throw them in the chat. We'll get to those. If you want to call into the show, pin comment at the top of the chat. But like I said, using the super chat feature is a great way for your question to cut the line right away. Appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, our guy, the number one Austrian Jet fan in the building, who dropped a 20 spot of gifted memberships yesterday. He says Jets pride. Oh, by the way, Austrian Jet fan, I was listening to Jake Asman's show in the background this morning, and you won a prize. So email Jake. I think his email, asmanjake@gmail.com. Email him so you can claim the prize. Let's see. I'll go in I don't know if you're in Jake's Discord, but he said what you won in the Discord. It looks like you won the Super Bowl 3 ring. So check out with Jake how you can claim that prize. Appreciate you tuning in. As always, Austrian Jet fan, just wanted to let you know there. Our guy Bill M, channel member in the house. Bill, good to see you tuning in. As always, our guy Jay, 3 siblings in the house. Says Connor with the salute. Jay, good to see you. Appreciate your support as always. Oh, here he is. Chris J says, channel member, channel moderator. Chris, you're the best. Appreciate you. As always says, it's album review day for you, Connor. Of course, I appreciate the super chat album review day for Connor. Appreciate the $2. Yes, I will. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk Jets, and at the end of the show, I will give my review. How about that, Chris? How does that sound? Because I did listen to the whole album after the show yesterday, per your request. I appreciate all your support as always on the show, Chris. Derek says, keep doing your thing, Connor. Derek, appreciate your support. Appreciate you tuning in here on the show. Austrian Jet fan says Lazard is next. You're referring to Rodgers getting cut. Lazard and Adams are both going to be cut sometime soon. So the whole Green Bay crew that was brought over here alongside Aaron Rodgers, not only the players, but also on the coaching side of things, Nathaniel Hackett, bye-bye. They're all gone. They're all gone, guys. A new era of Jets football here in Florham Park, New Jersey. Austrian Jet fan comes in with a five gifted memberships, and he gets a Jets channel. Jets, number one Austrian Jet fan. You're the best. Can't thank you enough for the 5 gifted memberships. Here on the show, hear your name called. Thank Austrian Jet fan, Jaro, JetLife321, John B., Caden on his non-monitoring account, his personal account, Brian Glick. You are all members. Thanks to our guy, the number one Austrian Jet fan. Good to see you in the building. Appreciate your support. As always, BC in the building. BC, good to see you. Caden in the house. Caden, appreciate your support as always. Sco. The house channel members go. Good to see you. Thoughts on the way Mets spring training has been coming together so far? I just saw the report from Mike Puma that Frankie Montas is going to be shut down indefinitely, which is a little concerning for me. That means they're going to have to add someone to the rotation, whether it's a Brandon Sporod if he has a great spring training, Griffin Canning, Tyler McGill. So not great news out of Port St. Lucie this morning. Rick Kent, another Mets fan here in the house. Rick, good to see you. Appreciate your support as always. Yep, there you go. Here it comes. Cactus Johnny, channel member. Appreciate you. Montaz already shut down for our Metsies. That's what I just said. Disappointing. Griffin time. Griffin Canning time. Come on. Mets got to get this right. The rotation stuff. Jay says, Jay Lepselter in the building. Jay says, keep resisting Cousins, Connor. I will never not resist Kirk Cousins coming to the New York Jets because that is punting on next season by bringing Kirk Cousins in. We talk about someone whose arm is broken, who can't run. He's 37 years old, threw the most interceptions in all of football last year. No thank you on Kirk Cousins. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Keep the questions coming in. We'll get to those. If you want to call into the show, click the pinned comment at the top of the chat. We'll get into the main report from Rich Samini, which is the main topic of today's video, in just a little while once we catch up on the chat. Rick says, what happened to Montas? So Mike Puma of New York Post says Montas has been shut down indefinitely. More details to come. That's all we have right now. Let me know if there's any more updates. That's all I have right now from Mike Puma of the New York Post. Caden says, which NHL team do you like, Connor? I'm not the biggest hockey fan in the world, but I root for the Rangers. I'm a Rangers fan, but I'm not like a diehard Rangers fan. I'm a Ranger fan though. I'm more on the casual side though than diehard. Sko said, yeah, I saw that maybe they bring Quintana back at the end. He played good. I mean, he's a veteran option they could pluck in there. I would take Quintana over McGill or Griffin Canning, certainly. Cactus Johnny says, hard no on Cousins. Give me a quarterback with some upside. Exactly. Like, the only reason I think the Jets would be fascinated with Cousins, two reasons. He's a proven veteran. He started before. And also, he's going to be very, very cheap next season. So those are the two circumstances I could see why the Jets would want to target Cousins. But I agree. I'd rather go out and give up a 6th round pick for Hendon Hooker over signing Kirk Cousins for the vet minimum, in my opinion. I'd rather do that. Just because Hendon Hooker at least can show you some upside. He's going to have some flashes. Or even a Justin Fields, pay him $8 million. He could show some flash. Trade for Malik Willis, who was 3-0 as a starter last year and completed over 75% of his passes, didn't throw an interception, appeared in 7 games, 4 starts with the Packers last year. I just don't get the fascination with Kirk Cousins. People are going to say, for example, some people on my show yesterday with Robbie Sabo were saying, oh my God, well, he was working under a defensive-minded head coach. Look what he did with Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell could make me look good at the quarterback position. He could. And the Jets don't have Kevin O'Connell. They have Aaron Glenn and Tanner Engstrand. That's nowhere near the caliber. I love both those guys, but that's nowhere near the caliber of Kevin O'Connell and Wes Phillips. So, hard no on Kirk Cousins. Rick says, I want the Mets to bring back Iglesias. Same here. I want the Mets to bring back Iglesias under any circumstance. Great locker room guy. It depends on what the big thing for me is, what is his contract going to look like after he batted over 330 in like 80 games with the Mets? That's my main question. We're getting out of hand here with the baseball talk, so don't worry, guys. For those who want to see baseball coverage, we're going to have Mets and Yankees coverage in season. We're going to do watch parties for some of the games, but we're here to talk Jets. I appreciate you guys as always. Chris says, Yankee Nation. Chris, Yankee fan, appreciate the $2. That was always appreciate your support. My plan is to do watch parties for the Mets Yankees game. So yeah, everyone should be able to tune in for that. Jay says cousin is persona non grata at 1JD, history and not good history. Exactly. Remember when the Jets tried throwing a bag at him? Like, what was that, 6 years ago at this point? And he didn't want to, 6, 7 years ago, maybe even a little longer. He didn't want to come here. That's another thing. Woody might not forget about that. Might have Kirk Cousins on his knees begging to come here. At the same time, though, is it even a guarantee? People are just acting like it's a foregone conclusion they're going to cut Cousins. It's trending in that direction right now, but there's still no guarantee that Atlanta decides to move on from Kirk Cousins. There's a chance they keep him, and they roll with him as a quarterback, too, behind Michael Penix. Zachary Berner in the building. Zachary says, if you had to guess the first free agent signing, what position will it be? I say safety. I agree safety 1000% because the Jets, Aaron Glenn, excuse me, tends to build his defense like from back to front. You have a defensive minded head coach, obviously, and Aaron Glenn. Safety's a massive position of need. They're going to basically have to revamp that entire room. Go with this. I'll say Javon. I'll say Justin Reed, excuse me. Justin Reed from last played for the Kansas City Chiefs last year, Super Bowl winner. And a Super Bowl win, multi-time Super Bowl winner. Obviously not this season though. I say they sign him to a nice 3 or 4 year deal. I would love that to be. I would love that to be the first move too, and I do think that is what's going to happen. Caden says, "How do you feel about Sam Howell?" Caden, he's not a winner. We're talking about someone who was, traded for a fifth. I think it was traded for a 5th or 6th round pick last year. Bring him in as a backup, fine. I don't want him starting though. He's the interesting connection to the quarterback coach in Charles London. Scott Turner was his play caller for a few seasons in Washington, so he's connected to 2 coaches on the staff. I would be okay with if you want to give up a 6th round pick to bring him in, see what he has, compete for the starting job, and maybe he gives you a few starts next year. But I don't want to particularly rely on him for anything. Not the biggest Sam Howell guy in the world. Caden, appreciate you. Says everyone check out Connor's 2 new videos. Yes, guys, Caden, first off, Caden, appreciate it. And yeah, go out and check out the videos. I released 2 this morning. I recorded them last night, and YouTube said to schedule them. So I put out one came out, I think, at 1 in the morning, and the other came out at 5:30. I did 3 overlooked quarterbacks to covet, and then 5 overall free agents to look for. As once, we have kind of a stronger inkling of who the quarterback's going to be, I'm going to start doing series like every day. I'll do a position. I'll say 5 players at that position the Jets should covet in free agency. Derek says, "Is it true Quinnen's not happy?" I mean, what are we going off of there? His one tweet after Rodgers left? If he's not happy, this is the thing. Aaron Glenn's going to come in. He's going to make a statement. Once he starts conducting these team meetings, it's going to be clear who wants to be here and who does not. And Aaron Glenn, Darren Muji, they're going to work and, make deals to get those guys out who don't want to be here. I have a strong feeling they are going to do that. So if he doesn't want to be here, he's going to be gone. Chris says, "You're a catcher." Connor, you're a catcher, right? Yeah, I play catcher. Rick says, "Isn't Cousins' contract guaranteed? If they cut him, they still have to pay him, so they might as well keep him." No. So, Rick, they have it's 5 days into the league year. They have to move on from him. And then if they don't move on from him, then yes, the money's guaranteed. But they still have an opportunity to get out of that contract. So, like I said, while it's strongly likely, in my opinion, they're going to pivot off of him, there's still no guarantee. Jay says, "If the choice boils down to Fields or Winston, which would you pick?" Justin Fields, 1000%. I don't care if he costs $8 million, $9 million a season compared to $2 million of Jameis Winston. Fields is someone who's 26 years old, showed he's a dual threat type guy, showed glimmers of hope. Again, my dream quarterback room next season is Tyrod Taylor, Justin Fields, realistically speaking here, Will Howard with Jordan Travis competing for a roster spot, really, overall. That's my dream. Just because Fields is 26 years old, he's not a typical bridge guy. Maybe he's a little more than a bridge guy for the Jets. Can't hurt for the Jets to explore that route. Zachary, dual threat with Justin Fields is the name I keep hearing to the Jets. I've heard that a lot. Yeah. Again, a lot of it's the price. Like if he's asking for $12 million a year, get out. But I'd be willing to pay Justin Fields, 1 year, $8 million. It's not the worst thing. Strong relationship with Garrett Wilson, who we're going to get to in a little while. We'll actually start with Garrett Wilson now. That's the main topic of today's video. So ESPN's Rich Cimini, as a Jets insider, obviously, he does the multi-point articles per week, different bullet points, latest Jets news, what he's hearing. And here's the point he made on Garrett Wilson. I'm going to pull it up on the screen. For the Jets, obviously, it's trending towards the direction they're going to move on from Aaron Rodgers. Team released an official statement. They're moving on from Rodgers. This is what Cimini has to say. Impact on Wilson. Rodgers' departure greatly increases the chance of Garrett Wilson's return. There appeared to be tension in their relationship last season, starting with heated conversations on the field in training camp. It bubbled up late in the season, fueling speculation that Wilson might ask for a trade. It became obvious to some players last season that Rodgers was favoring Adams over Wilson in the passing game. In 11 games together, Adams was targeted 112 times, third most in the NFL. Wilson, 87. The disparity was even greater in the red zone. Adams, 21. Wilson, 11. Wilson, 24, coming off 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons, is the kind of players most teams would want. That's the line after, but it ultimately got cut off there. Here's my thing. I didn't want Aaron Rodgers back on his current contract. I don't think he fits in modern-day offensive scheme. I didn't want that. Do I think it's a good thing that Garrett Wilson is happy? Yes. But I don't particularly want Garrett Wilson's feelings. I'm not saying this happened. I'm just hoping this didn't happen. I don't want Garrett Wilson's feelings to impact which route Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn are going to go when it comes to making roster and personnel decisions, quite frankly. So I think it is a bonus. I don't want Rodgers back. I think it's a bonus that Garrett Wilson wanted to move on. He wanted the new quarterback, but I don't want to make decisions solely based on Garrett Wilson's feelings, if that makes sense. I want him to be happy. I want Garrett Wilson to get paid. We're talking about someone who's the definition of quarterback proof. Really in my opinion, the only wide receiver since Santana Moss, Keyshawn Johnson, who've come in as top 10 picks with the Jets recently and made an impact right away. So I love Garrett Wilson. I have his jersey. He's one of my signed helmet by Garrett right there, signed football by Garrett right there. He's my favorite Jet. I'm happy that they're making him happy. But like I said, I don't want his feelings to particularly influence the Jets' decision-making overall. Another thing I wasn't too familiar with, I didn't know these heated conversation tension is how Rich Cimini described it. I didn't know it ranged all the way back to training camp. I thought this is something that happened right when Davante Adams came in, and it was obvious he was playing buddy ball with Adams that it happened. So it seemed like kind of Garrett Wilson. Well, last year, 9/11, when Rodgers went down, he said, "Sorry, kid," to Garrett Wilson. They seemed to have a fine relationship then, but I had no idea that this is something that was boiling over all the way from training camp. So I'm happy that Garrett Wilson's happy. I think he should ultimately get a payday, but I hope this didn't influence the way Darren Muji or Aaron Glenn were feeling in terms of making this decision. That's the one thing I hope here. But again, Garrett Wilson's someone you need to throw the bag out 4 for 120, pay him. Definition of quarterback proof. I think he's played with 11 different quarterbacks, 1,000 yards, all 3 of his NFL seasons. Like, I like Garrett Wilson. I love Garrett Wilson. And maybe they want to go after the Justin Fields route. That makes Garrett happy, coupled with he brings upside to the table as well. So bottom line for me is I'm happy that Garrett Wilson's happy, but I don't want him to influence decisions made by Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji. That's where I am. Appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure you smash that like button and make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Appreciate all your support. If you want to call one of the show, click the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Keep the questions coming in. We will be sure to get to those. And then our super chat goal, trying to get to 10 super chats at any point throughout the show. So please, super chat, great way to support the show. And it really helps us. Like I said, the like, share, and subscribe. It's completely free. Anyone can do it. Helps us grow significantly. 39 of you watching on YouTube, only 18 likes. Please hit the like button. Completely free. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the start of the NFL draft. You guys could be a part of that journey by hitting subscribe. Like I said, completely free and helps us grow significantly. Keep the questions coming. You can call into the show by using the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Jerry Idle says, bring back Zach. No way, Jose. No way. Chris says, I watched both videos at the gym this morning. Chris, appreciate your support. I think that's the whole thing why YouTube says, like, put those out early. So people are waking up and, at the gym on a run, drinking their coffee in the morning, listening to it. Jay, 3 siblings says Justin Fields or Cam Ward. Cam Ward at 7 over Justin Fields. Yes, not trading up for Cam Ward, though. Austrian Jet fan, trade for Milton. What's his value? What's Milton's value? Also, I doubt that New England would want to orchestrate a trade for him, especially in division rivals to the Jets. Also, I think we're overreacting a little here to about Joe Milton. He had a great game. It was one start, though, in Week 18 against the Buffalo Bills backups. Like, let's not get ahead of ourselves here with Joe Milton. If they're a 7th-round pick, sure, but I don't have the utmost confidence in him coming in and starting right away. I don't. So sure, if you want to give up a 5th-round pick, 4th-round pick, maybe it wouldn't be a 7th-round pick. I think it was a 6th-rounder last year. So maybe a conditional 5th, a 4th if he plays X amount of snaps in the regular season. Sure, but I don't particularly want him coming in as a starter right away. He hasn't shown me enough. He's maybe a backup, but again, we've seen one start out of him at the NFL level. Jay kind of echoes my thing. Pat's not trading Milton to us. I want Cam Ward bad. What do you like about Cam Ward so much? Do you think it's worth giving up all these first round picks to trade up to number 1 and get him? I don't. He's the only quarterback in this year's draft I have a first round grade on. He's the only one I think is going to have some success at the NFL level, but I don't think he's worth multiple ones to trade up. I'm waiting till next year's class where you try to make a move with your franchise guy in round 1. Austrian Jet fan, I like Will Greer. Who was he with last season? The Cowboys. He's with the Panthers for a little while. We've seen nothing out of him though. Again, as a backup, maybe he's going to be $2 million in free agency, but I don't want him again. I'm not taking Will Greer as a starter. 29 years old. He's had 2 starts at the NFL level. They came in 2019. He's only appeared in 2 games, at the NFL level, and they were 2 starts, 0-2, 2019. We haven't seen one thing of him since. 53% of his passes he completed for 0 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. No, thank you. He wants to come in and compete for a roster spot on the vet minimum, sure. But I'm not giving him a starting job or probably not even a backup based on those numbers. Austrian Jet fan will get Howard. I hope they get Will Howard on day 2 or day 3. A winner, someone who has a lot of experience. He's able to move. He's able to, add a lot of layers, velocity, touch to his ball. You're able to run a pro level offensive system with him right away. So I'm okay. I like Will Howard. I think where do I have him? I was doing the rankings last night. We're going to do like big board rankings, and I was putting the graphics together. Will Howard is he's my QB3 in this year's class. Sneak peek. A lot of the dart truthers aren't going to like it, but Jackson Dart's my QB5. You'll see when we get into the rankings. Jay, we don't even know if Jordan Travis will ever be able physically to get on the field to practice. Yeah, again, it goes back to my original point I've been making for months on end. You can't expect anything out of Jordan Travis. If he shows you something great, but you have to go in expecting nothing and take everything you get as a bonus. In my opinion, that's the mentality with Jordan Travis. Past few videos, I gotta nip this in the butt, guys, in the comments. People are suggesting Adrian Martinez as the to be the Jets quarterback next season. Adrian Martinez was a UFL MVP. He's been riddled with injuries. We've seen he hasn't appeared in the regular season NFL game. You can't expect anything out of him. Been riddled with injuries, massive ball security issues. No to Adrian Martinez. He's not even going to be on the roster next year, let alone be the starting quarterback for the NYJ. No thank you to Adrian Martinez. I've had enough. I'm not even joking, guys. I've had 4 people probably on the last few videos, 4 different people come in and suggest Adrian Martinez as a starter next season. Hell no. Hayden, Kyle McCord's a great pocket passer. McCord's a great pocket passer. I really like McCord, but the athleticism needs some work. I'm a big Kyle McCord guy. The athleticism, though, just scares me overall. But I agree. He's a great pocket passer. He's poised in the pocket. Takes his time to make his reads. I'm a Kyle McCord fan. You're in the building. Good to see you. Appreciate your support as always. Jay, McCord is worth a lottery ticket type pick. What do you dub a lottery ticket type pick? Because he's going to go on day 2. I have an early 3rd round grade on McCord. I think he's going to go midway through the 3rd round, in my opinion. We need Garrett. Let's finally get him a quarterback. You're not getting him a quarterback, though, next year. What are the options? Again, I didn't want Aaron Rodgers back, but what are the options that are better than Aaron Rodgers next season? None. I didn't want Aaron Rodgers back because I didn't want to deal with the steep cap hit in 2026. You can't run an offensive scheme this day and age with Aaron Rodgers. Those are the 2 main reasons I didn't want him back. And get rid of the off-field headaches with him. Who are you going to find? Justin Fields, maybe. That somewhat makes Garrett happy because he has a rapport with him from college. But other than that, I mean, you're waiting till next year, really, to try to get your franchise guy and make Garrett happy. You're not Sam Howell, though. I will riot if Sam Howell's the Jets starting quarterback next year. Again, give up a 6th round pick for him, bring him in, see what he has, tries to earn a spot as a backup on this team, but definitely not as a starter. Jay says Joe Flacco has as many Super Bowl rings as they are. I wasn't even alive when Aaron Rodgers won a Super Bowl. Caden, how do you feel if the Jets trade Breece Hall to the Cowboys because they need a running back for a second and a fourth round pick because we have Allen and Davis already? A second and a fourth, I listen. For a second and a fourth round pick, I listen for sure. Breece Hall was a second round pick just a few years ago. I really like him. I don't think he's getting a second contract, though, here. How are the Jets going to be able to open up gaps for him? What does his role look like on the team next season? He's great in space, but the vision for me is a massive concern with Breece Hall. Getting him in space is the hardest part, and are the Jets able to do that? We'll see. A second and a fourth, though, I would do that. Also, I don't want to jump the gun there. Are the picks this year or next year? Let me know there. Clarify, please, Caden. Caden says, what jersey are you wearing? Caden, I'm wearing a gray Sauce Gardner jersey right now. Rocking the Sauce jersey. Rick says, I think there's too much being made about bad feelings with G5 and Garrett Wilson. It doesn't matter anymore. Rodgers is gone. Look ahead. Yeah, that's the whole point. Like, want Rodgers back or not, he's gone. And if it makes Garrett Wilson happy, like I said, that was the main point of my conversation. If it makes Garrett happy, if it makes Garrett happy, then great. But I don't want Garrett influencing. I'm not comfortable with Garrett influencing personnel and roster decisions. I'm not. Jerome Strax channel member says, "Que pasa, Connor?" Doing well, Jerome. How are you? Exactly, Rick Ken. Why would the Pats trade with the Jets? Makes 0 sense. Yeah, why would they? Joe Milton was a day 3 pick last year. Why would you just want to flip him right away? Maybe he gets another opportunity with an injury next season because he's going to be the backup with Jacoby Brissett, probably retiring because he's a free agent. He's either going to sign somewhere else or retire. He's not coming back to the Patriots next season. I can nearly guarantee that. So he's going to be the backup. Drake May goes down with a concussion for a few games. Give him an opportunity. Why would you trade him for a day 3 pick? Someone wows you with a third round or a second round pick. I don't think they're going to get that for Milton, but someone calls and says, we'll give you a second or a third for Milton. Yeah, no problem. Caden with another trade proposal. Are you accepting this trade? If you're Titans, you get the Jets' seventh overall pick, second round pick in 2025, first in 2026, and second in 2026. Jets get first overall pick 2025. If I'm the Titans, 1,000%. But if I'm the Jets, why would you want to do that? I think Mike Borgonzi would laugh. I think Mike Borgonzi would laugh at Darren Muji if the Jets proposed that offer. Why would the Jets want to do that? To what? Maybe is to try to hope that Cam Ward's your franchise guy. And then if he's not, you have to try to make something out of him for 3 years. And then boom, if it doesn't work out, you're taking a big risk with Cam Ward. That's 3 years of the regime for Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji. Like, why would the Jets ever want to do that? It's giving up all. So the Jets get number 1. That's basically indicating. So the Jets have the first overall pick this year, and that's basically it to make any big moves over the next few seasons. Under any circumstance, you have to retain that first rounder in 2026. Because I think that's the year where you get your franchise guy. So no, I am not making that trade at all. Three siblings. I think if it's 2 firsts and 1 second, it's worth it. He's an elite player with NFL coaching and NFL talent around. He could shine. He just doesn't awe me. Like when I watch Drew Aller, when I watch Garrett Nussmeier, I'm like, these guys have the ability to come in and be elite players at the NFL right away. I don't think that's the case with Cam Ward. He's my QB1 of the week quarterback class. Holds onto the ball a little too long for me. He's able to extend play, but like, is that worth giving up all these assets? Is the question that you have to ask yourself. In my opinion, it's no. Not at all. Exactly, NJ Lauren, appreciate you tuning in. That's what I was saying. Plays top college competition. He's a winner. He's over 1,800 dropbacks at the college level and has ran a pro-level offensive scheme, which out of all those things to me is the most important. Because if you bring in Jackson Dart, if you bring in Jalen Milroe, they're going to have to sit for probably a full season. They're probably going to sit for a full season so you can teach them what the quarterback position is like at the NFL level. Howard, the transition, I think, from him to college is probably going to be the smoothest among all the quarterbacks. I'm not saying he's going to be the best. I think Cam Ward's going to be the best quarterback in this year's class, but I'm saying the transition from the college to NFL level right away, I think is going to be the smoothest. Where are we? Jay says Martinez is at best a practice squad possibility. He didn't even look good in the preseason. I'm going to be honest, he didn't even look good in the preseason, let alone you're talking about making him a week 1 NFL starter. No, thank you. I agree. Practice squad possibility is the ceiling. Appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. You guys are the best. 47 of you guys here watching on YouTube, only 25 likes. Please hit the like button. It's completely free. Helps us grow significantly. And then hit subscribe as well. Trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the NFL draft. Hit subscribe completely free as well. Trying to get to 10 super chats. That's the paid way to support the show. Every $2.99 super chat or every gifted membership will get you into our membership raffle for this month. Prize we're giving away this month. Joe Klecko signed jersey, Mark Gastineau signed jersey, Bill Parcells signed photo, free item from our merch store, channel emoji. So get in on that if you haven't already, or add to your tickets if you're already in. The leaderboard for that is on the ticker down below. Jibbles, Fields to the Jets. What do you think? Jibbles, we covered that at the top of the show. Yeah, he's upside. He's going to be 26 years old right before the season starts. $8 million, I think, is the most he's going to be able to get up. He's able to pick. He's able to get. I'd pay Justin Fields $8 million, see what he has, take somewhat of a flyer. He's improved every year, and with good coaching, I'm not saying he's going to be a franchise guy, but good coaching, he has potential to be a quality starter in this league for a few seasons. Austrian Jet fan says Tanner McKee. I put him in my overlooked video for quarterbacks to covet, and I put him in my overlooked quarterbacks to covet article for Jets X Factor. I'm big on Tanner McKee. Again, similar to what we saw to Milton. It's a smaller sample size, week 18 against the Giants, but someone who I was high on a few years ago. I know he was a 6th-round pick, but I was high on him. Cap numbers really cheap at $1 million. There's a lot of unknown with him, but Howie Roseman seems to really like him. If he's willing to flip him for an early day 3, late day 2 pick, why not take a flyer and give him an opportunity to compete for the job? Zachary says, what 2026 quarterback you want? I haven't gone deep into any of the quarterbacks, but off first glance, Lenora, Sellers, Garrett Nussmeier, Drew Aller, my top 3. With Carson Beck going back to school as my lingering 4th option there. NJ Lauren, we need real competition over they bring in. We never did that with Sam and Wilson. Are you talking about like an open competition for the quarterback job? I agree. That's why I think kind of going the route of you sign Justin Fields in free agency, you have Tyrod Taylor, actually hold a real quarterback competition for them next season. And then you have someone you draft who's waiting as the 3rd-string guy with Jordan Travis, quite frankly, competing for a roster spot. That's what I think is best, in my opinion. $2 super chat from our guy Austrian Jet fan in the building. He gets a Jets chant. One Austrian Jet fan comes in here. $2. Appreciate your support as always. 7 away from our super chat goal. Guys, please hit that. Great way to help support the show. Another raffle ticket for you. Super chats, again, great way to support the show. Get your question answered right away. They cut the line. He says, what are we going to do on special teams? Kicker, returner, Irv, gone. I don't think Irv is going to be gone. You could bring him back on an ERFA tender for a little less than $1 million. I think that's the Jets' best option with him. I would bring him back. I think it's at $968,000. So I would do that with Irv. Special teams ace. He's great when he's healthy on the field. PFF grades him very highly. Able to get in, strong hitter, make big plays. I'm a big fan of Irv Charles. Returner, Xavier Gibson, he's going to be cut. Malachi Corley is going to be on the roster next season. Whether you like it or not, I expect him to probably come in and pick up that role. Also, Isaiah Davis, we saw in returns last year, so you can look out for that. Kicker, Greg Joseph kicked week 18 for the Jets. Maybe they re-sign him, but there's some names in free agency. Nick Folk, Joey Sly, Matt Prater, among the names on the top of my list who I think the Jets can maybe look out for as a kicker in free agency for cheap. Ryan Fitzgerald, kicker out of Florida State. Maybe they draft him in the 7th round, see what you get there. So I'm not too concerned on special teams, but I can understand my fans might be a little concerned just looking at everyone who's a free agent and the struggles we had last year. But Austrian Jet fan, appreciate your support as always. Appreciate the $2 super chat. Jibbles comes back in again. How many years do you think until we go back to the playoffs? Here's the thing. I think it is feasible with good coaching next season, with solid coaching, cut down on the penalties. Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor can lead you to a 9-8 season. I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world. But if I had to make a legitimate prediction when they can go in and make the playoffs and make a run, 2027, 2028, I think it's 2 years of not great football. Then after that, I could see them trying to make a run. I think if you biggest thing is you have to hit on a quarterback next year. If they draft Cam Ward this year, which I don't think they're going to do, they trade up to get him, or they draft Dart in the first round, which is just a terrible plan. They're going to have to hit this year. But whenever they try to make a move with the franchise guy overall, whether it's this year or next year, they're going to have to hit. That's their only chance, I think, to win in the next 5 to 7 years. If I had to make predictions, 2027, 2028, something like that. JT, not shocked this came out. The discussions with him and Rodgers seem very damaged in a way, and way more than everyone made it seem. Again, the Davante Adams thing, I think, took a major toll on Garrett Wilson. The fact that Davante comes in, gets traded after Garrett Wilson's been through thick and thin with every quarterback, hasn't been very vocal, hasn't complained a ton. And then Davante Adams, you trade for Davante Adams, comes in and he's getting all the red zone targets. Aaron's force-feeding him the ball. I could see why that's a little frustrating for someone who's in his third NFL season like Garrett Wilson, who's been through awful quarterback play, and he's grinded through it, no complaints whatsoever. And then you just trade for this guy who's best friends with Aaron Rodgers, and he takes all your targets. I could see why that's frustrating. Listen to Jay, guys. Please hit the like button, people. Connor needs you. Yes, Jay. Please, everyone, hit the like button, hit subscribe. Completely free and helps us grow a lot here on the show. Cadence is a second this year and a 4 next year for Breece with the Cowboys. I would do that. Would you guys accept this? Personally, I would do this. A second this year and a 4th next year for Breece Hall for the Cowboys. I would. Trading him out of the conference, someone who was a second-round pick a few years ago, pick up another day 3 pick in return. I think that's a winning offer for Breece Hall. Again, I love Breece. This is not because I don't like Breece Hall. It's because I just don't think he's going to get a second contract here. So you might as well sell him while you can, then wait and get nothing for him when he walks. Again, I love Breece, but I just think that's the best option right now, trying to trade him. And I could see Aaron Glenn, Darren Muji coming in and trying to make a statement, not only moving on from Aaron Rodgers. And I was talking about this with some people and some guys I've had on the show the past few weeks, and they agreed. Aaron Glenn, Darren Muji trying to come in and make a statement. We didn't draft Breece Hall. We didn't draft Sauce Gardner. We didn't draft Garrett Wilson. We didn't draft Jermaine Johnson. Trying to come in and make a statement right away by moving off of one of them. Maybe Breece Hall's that guy, because like I said, he's a running back. He's someone I don't think is going to get a second contract with this team. I wouldn't count out a Breece Hall trade whatsoever. Here's what I'd say. Among the 4 guys, I think I would trade Breece Hall, and I think he has the highest chance to get traded. Just because I don't think he's going to get a second contract here. Zachary says Fields' problem is pocket awareness and reading a defense. There's certainly flaws to Justin Fields' game, especially as a passer. I'm not saying Justin Fields is a perfect player, but the options we're looking at right now, nobody is a perfect player, in my opinion. Nobody is a perfect player. So he's someone who I think you can run a solid RPO with. You can maybe run some sort of dink and dunk offense. I understand he won a lot of his games last year with the Steelers off great defensive play, but still was 4-2 as a starter with the Steelers, which is impressive to a degree. You have him, then you have to worry about a dual threat type guy. So the pocket awareness and reading a defense certainly concerns, but I like Justin Fields a lot because he could beat you with his feet too. 3rd and 4, you need someone to get you 4 yards. Boom, Justin Fields is that guy. 3rd and 2, you can run a read option with Braylon Allen and Justin Fields. That's effective. I just think Justin Fields opens much more of a vast playbook compared to a Kirk Cousins, who is just going to, he can't put him under center. He's just going to drop back and shotgun every time and throw interceptions. Meanwhile, Justin Fields, you have to worry about him in 2 different facets, which I really like. Caden, how was Greg Joseph kicking? We saw him in 1 game. I think he went 1 for 2. Let me see. Did he miss a kick that game? Pull him up on Pro Football Reference. Greg Joseph, the last game he went 1 for 1. It was a 25-yard field goal attempt, it says. So small sample size here from Greg Joseph. But overall, throughout his career, 6 years in the league, he is overall field goal percentage 82.3 with the longest 61. I was just thinking he was on the roster last year. Get him back for cheap. Why not? Jay, I think we need to pay more attention to the way Houston and Detroit went about their reconstruction and learn some of those lessons. Detroit, the thing is, Detroit's unique because they won and they don't have a franchise guy. They're one of the only teams who's had success over the past few years, but just isn't a franchise. They don't have a franchise guy. Jared Goff, who's I put him more in the immobile category than mobile category. He's up there. He's getting up there in age compared to Houston. The reason they had success not even this season, the season before in 2023, it's because of CJ Stroud. And once that production overall started to drop off, which we saw last season, they weren't very good. Their offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick got fired after a great season from CJ Stroud in 2023. So Houston's an interesting team to look out for. I like the way you say that, and learn some of those lessons, because they were the Jets just a few years ago. I mean, remember the Texans in 2021 with Lovie Smith as their head coach, Davis Mills as their quarterback. They won, I think, one or two games, and then they were in the playoffs last year. They're in the playoffs in 2023, and then Detroit, similar organization of the Jets, except the Jets have actually won a Super Bowl. Detroit was down in the dumps for a while. They were 4-13 in 2022. There's no reason the Jets can't follow that same blueprint. And the Jets, let's be honest, the Jets have holes. Don't get me wrong, but the Jets have a lot less holes than Detroit did when they were starting to rebuild, than Houston did when they were starting to rebuild. That's why I think this is not particularly a rebuild. You just need to add a few more pieces here. I don't think the Jets are in position right now to make a deep run in the playoffs. That's why I said it isn't an all-in year, in my opinion, like we've seen years past. However, you add a few more pieces. You give me two legit safeties. You give me two legit tight ends. Give me you make a trade for Chris Olave. You sign potentially Josh Palmer, Tim Patrick in free agency. Beef up the overall pass catching room. Add a few defensive line pieces. I know that seems like a lot, but in 2 years, there's no reason this team can't be in the playoffs. No reason. Can't imagine the Jets trade for Chris Olave and get Justin Fields. What's Chris Olave's trade value, though? Because talking about someone who was a first-round pick just a few years ago, but coming off of all these concussions, and that's like reuniting the full Ohio State squad, if you really think about it, though. That could be interesting if you want to trade for Chris Olave, but what are you giving up for Chris Olave? That's the question. I would give up 2 second-rounders for Chris Olave. That's what I give up. 2 second-rounders and then like a conditional fourth, maybe. That's it, though. I'm not giving up a 1. Jay says, why would anyone trade away Olave? I think it would be more so Olave wanting out there, because that they're going to probably win, depending on what Kellen Moore does. If he comes in, makes an impact right away, they could be good. But that quarterback room, I think Spencer Rattler is going to start. The Saints might win 2 games next season. So it would be more so Olave wanting out than the Saints wanting to trade him. Book Club Warrior 2022. Appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully we'll see the Jets back in the playoffs before you turn 40, Connor. That's the goal, Book Club. Just hoping to see a playoff game. Guy Jake Asman in the building. Sounds like you hate Breece. How? What point, Jake, did I make there that was not fair about Breece Hall and what we've seen from him throughout his entire career, and why I wouldn't absolutely hate trading him for a second and a fourth round pick? What was not fair there? Infrared, appreciate you tuning in. Breece Hall was heavily underutilized. I agree 1,000%. He was underutilized last year, and they couldn't create gaps for him. However, I mean, can we all agree on the fact that Breece Hall probably is not getting a second contract with the Jets? Why would you not trade it? Why? You drafted him in the second round in 2022. Let's keep that in mind. So you're basically getting that same return on investment, second round pick, those even out, and then you're gaining a fourth rounder for someone who is most likely going to walk in a few years, then he walks in a few years, you're not getting anything for him. That's my prediction on it. Jay says facts, Connor. Jay, appreciate you as always. Tigo, our guy Talking Jets with Tigo, will be on weekly Saturdays at 8:15 p.m. EST, starting this weekend. Tigo, appreciate you tuning in. Caden says need to draft that Florida State kicker. Are you talking about Ryan Fitzgerald from FSU? The Jets, if they want to go with him, 6th round, 7th round, I think their last pick is in the 6th round, I would be okay with it. Why not just solidify the kicker position? Use a draft pick. Look where Evan McPherson was drafted, who's done great things with the Bengals over the past few years. Like, draft a kicker on late day 3. I wouldn't mind it. 100% field goals in last season at Florida State. Why not? Tigo says, why would we want to trade for Olave? He can't stay on the field. Concussions are a bad businessman. At the right price, I would listen. 2 2s, I would listen. If they say 2 2s will give you Olave, then I listen. And I break that down because the Jets are going to need a lot of wide receiver help. What I think they're going to do overall at the wide receiver position, I think it's going to be something. You obviously have Garrett Wilson. You try to work Malachi Corley in some way, shape, or form. Have Xavier Gibson, who I think is going to ultimately get cut. A few names I'd look out for. Well, first on the draft, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, both the Iowa receivers. If you want to go later, Ted McMillan in the first round from Arizona State's obviously my top option. But free agency, Tim Patrick, who was with the Lions last year, is a name I'm hearing a lot. And then Josh Palmer, who was with the Chargers the past few seasons, who has lightning speed, is another name I've been hearing. So I expect to add a few in free agency. I think you draft at least one wide receiver, and I wouldn't particularly rule out an Olave trade, in my opinion. Jay says, I think that we have to see how Tanner and friends use our players to see who will and who will not get that next contract. I think it's a simple meeting between Tanner Engstrand, Aaron Glenn, and Darren Muji to break down what players are a part of the long-term future here. That's why I think overall this first season, it's going to be more of an evaluation year, in my opinion, for Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji. That's why I said don't just – the day they hired both those guys, don't just judge their first season based on the record. Look at it from the big picture. Did they come in and did they establish a culture right away? Did they figure out who was going to be here long term, who was not? Like you just said. Like, there's a chance they win 5 games, but for me, it runs bigger than just the record. That's why I said this first year for Aaron Glenn, Darren Muji, Tanner Engstrand is an evaluation phase. It is. Teresa, I think DJ Reed was wanting to leave. Is he still going to leave the Jets? Who will replace him if he's not there? Teresa, he's a free agent. He's very vocal on wanting to leave at the end of the season. I think he's ultimately gone. I think his time with the Jets is over. I think he's going to get paid somewhere in free agency. My sleeper team for him to go is the Lions, where Aaron Glenn's coming from. I could see him fitting there. So I think Carlton Davis, their cornerback who suffered a season-ending jaw injury last season, is someone I think the Jets should look after. I think ultimately, whether it's the Jets or another team, he's going to walk in free agency. But DJ Reed, I would love to get him back. You need someone to play opposite on the boundary of Sauce Gardner. As for who's going to replace him, it's a good question. You could bring Brandon Eccles back, 2 years, $8 million, 2 years, $10 million, something like that. But the question is he able to come in and be the cornerback one right away, playing opposite from Sauce Gardner? I would like to add another depth piece or someone who's more of a sure thing. That goes back to my point where I just spoke about the guy Carlton Davis, who was with the Bucs, Super Bowl winner, who's been with the Lions. I would love to potentially bring Carlton Davis in. He's right now my number one option. Charvarius Ward is another one, free agent. He played in Steve Wilkes' defensive scheme with the 49ers in 2023. So Steve Wilkes has the connection to him. I can see the Jets trying to go the Charvarius Ward, but then obviously have the in-house names, Quantez Stiggers. How much are you really going to rely on him for? JBC, nothing. So there's unknown with those two guys. I think they should maybe even explore potentially trying to draft another cornerback, Darian Porter from Iowa, named to look out for us as a cornerback there. So the way I think they do this, I think they re-sign Brandon Eccles on a 2 to 3 year deal. They draft someone and they sign a free agent. I'd say a bigger name free agent at cornerback. I think the Jets are going to spend big on defense overall because you have I'd say overall a defensive-focused coaching staff. I feel a lot more comfortable about the defensive coaching staff than I do the offensive coaching staff. So I'm okay with Charvarius Ward, Carlton Davis, drafting someone, re-signing Brandon Eccles, that kind of combination. Jose Trinidad in the building. Jose, good to see you. Appreciate your support as always. Signed Darius Slayton, made big catches for the Giants. Shouldn't cost much. He was in my free agent to covet video that came out earlier today. So like Darius Slayton has had over 700 yards the past few seasons. Awful quarterback play with the Giants. Graded out pretty well with PFF. He'll be someone a few $1 million you could bring him for. Like I said, he was in my free agent to target video. I wouldn't mind Darius Slayton at all with the Jets under any circumstances. Somewhat of a depth piece. Rick says, isn't Ward the guy who claimed not to know who Garrett Wilson was? I think that is him. I think that is Charvarius Ward. Yeah. Good memory there, Rick. I forgot about that. Tigo says, give me Eccles on the cheap with Sauce finally playing man coverage. Keep Sherwood and get a big safety name, a 400-pound behemoth, interior defensive line, defense fixed. I like that plan. So Eccles on the cheap, that's 2 years, $8 million, 2 years, $10 million. Sauce and man, I think could be really interesting. Sherwood, I'd do 3 for 20, 3 for 22. I think that's a fair asking price for Jamie and Sherwood. I think he'd do anything to retain him because, again, finished third in the league in tackles last year. I'm a big Jamie and Sherwood guy. I love to bring him in. I love to retain him, obviously. Big name at safety, so you want to go the Justin Free, Javon Holland type route. I'm in on those two names for sure. 400-pound behemoth interior defensive line. I don't know any big names. I know DJ Jones, the connection with Darren Muji from the Broncos is on. He's on the bigger side. I don't know if he's like 310, 315 though. So DJ Jones, I'd say, is a name to look out for on the interior if you want to go that route. All right, appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure you smash the like button. You are subscribed to the channel. Like I said, it's the free way to support the show and helps us grow significantly. 46 of you guys in the building on YouTube, only 36 likes, so please hit the like button. We haven't gotten any subscribers this show, guys. Subscribing is completely free, and it helps us grow a lot. So please hit that subscribe button. We're on the quest for 2,000 subscribers by the start of the NFL draft. Appreciate you guys. As always, we're gonna wrap up here shortly. Final chance to get your questions in. Final chance to call into the show by using the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Like I said, we're going to wrap up here soon. So final chance to get your questions in. Final chance to call into the show using the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Jay says, are you going to have Sabo on as a regular? I love your Jets X Factor gang. Jay, appreciate it. Yeah, we had Sabo on yesterday. We'll try to get him on as a regular guest. The guest spots, though, are going to be limited moving forward because we have so many. Starting tonight, Nick Faria, who will be joining us at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have so many weekly guests coming up here on the show, which I'm really excited for. I'll rattle off the list for you guys. So Nick Faria every Monday at 8 p.m. EST starting tonight. Gunny Gumby, our guy from New York Jets Situation Report, will be joining us every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Again, these all start this week. Matt O'Leary will be joining us every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. EST. And then our guy Tigo in the chat, who you see every Saturday. I put Sunday by accident. Saturday in my notes app. Every Saturday night at 8:15 p.m. EST. So guys, stay tuned for that. Still working on a few more weekly guest spots that we're getting finalized with some fun names. So if you guys have any suggestions, throw them in the Discord in the description down below, or throw them in the chat. We'll try to get guests on. So I appreciate all your feedback as always here on the show. We'll end with this question here from Courtney NJ. Would you send a 2025 first and 2020 and a second and a 2026 first and Quincy Williams for Tennessee number 1? So 2 firsts and a second and Quincy? No, I wouldn't do that. Courtney, the only way you'd trade up for Cam Ward in like a realistic package, I'd give up this year's 1 and next year's 2, and then you throw like a 3 or 2, like 2 threes or maybe a 3, something like that, which obviously they wouldn't accept. But I'm not going big on trying to lure Cam Ward to the Jets. I'm not doing that. That's so Quincy. I consider Quincy Williams' value a first-round pick or more. So you're basically, that said, that's like 3.5 first-round picks and a second rounder. No, thank you. I'm not doing that under any circumstance now. I love Quincy. You have to hopefully pay him down the road, but I think he's here no matter what next season. I think he's the player Aaron Glenn is going to love to coach up. So that's what I think is going to happen with Quincy. I'm not big on trading him right now. So that's too rich for me. All right, like I said, final chance to get your questions, comments, super chats, thoughts, memberships in, and your last chance to call into the show by using the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Going to wrap up here soon. Back at 8 p.m. EST with Nick Faria of Athlon Sports joining us for the first time in his weekly spot on the show. This is our first slew of our first lineup, if you will, of weekly guests, and they're going to be coming on all off season long. So stay tuned for that. Like I said, any suggestions, throw them in the chat, throw them in our Discord, which you could join completely free down below. Notice we just hit 1.62K, so 1,620 subscribers. Thanks to you guys. Appreciate you as always. Keep hitting subscribe, keep liking the video. Appreciate as always. You guys are the best. Like I said, back tonight, Daily Jet Show here on YouTube. So if you're new, welcome. Great to have you back if you're returning, like most of you guys are. Like, share, and subscribe. Please, guys. Completely free, and it helps us grow significantly here on YouTube. That'll do it for me here on this Monday afternoon, February 17th, 2025. I am your host, Connor Long, signing off here on NY Flight Jets Talk. JTS, Jets.